Hi. Hi, ladies. Hi, everybody in the chat.
The whole family's already here. They're already popping in, saying hello. Hello, greeter. She was giving hugs right at the beginning. I love that. Well, here we are. It's another happy Monday night. Happy Monday, everyone. And yeah, we. So y'all know we don't talk about who we are, who's tapped on our shoulders that week to come in on Monday nights. So I'm interested to see how it maneuvers tonight and how these three kind of intertwine and what they're bringing in, because it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But other than that, how are you guys doing? How is your Monday?
It's good.
So far, so good.
Cold and snowy in Canada. Not much else.
Is it really? It's chilly in California, but it's not. But it's sunny. In the sun, it's nice. In the shade, it's pretty chilly. So
now, are you anywhere close to the fires or anything?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more fires.
It's up a Big Sur area, I guess.
Geez.
Yeah, that's way north.
Way north.
Yeah, we may get smoke though, as it unfolds at different points, but no, we're not in that area.
Sorry, guys.
You okay, Debbie?
Yeah, I'm okay.
It's Lucienne's birthday.
Oh my gosh, Lucy!
Happy birthday!
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey, Lucienne. That's weird. No wonder I've been thinking about you all day. I've only been thinking about Lucienne all day. Happy birthday. Yeah, beautiful.
Happy birthday.
So anyways, well, I'm glad you're safe from the fires. Yeah, that's so devastating. All right. So today, without further ado, let's start diving in. We are bringing in. Okay, so Andrea, you're first.
Oh, I'm first.
You are. I know. It's. Anyways, you'll see.
Oh, by her
yeah, her real name or whatever.
Her birth name. Okay.
But I feel like yeah. It's by
her birthday.
Everybody's like, what are they talking about? We'll see.
We go in alphabetical order.
So I'd like to welcome Eliza Burton Conley, known as Lyda, I believe. So do you think how it was said? Lyda?
Yeah, Lyda. Mm-hmm.
Lyda Conley. An amazing woman. Wow. Reading about her, I was like, holy. So she was born in 1869 and passed away in 1946. So she lived to be 77. And forgive me if I say any of these names wrong. She was a Wyandot American lawyer of Native American and European descent. There she is. Hello.
There she is.
She was the first woman admitted to the Kansas Bar Association. In 1909, she was the first Native American woman and the third woman ever to argue a case before the Supreme Court.
Wow.
Which would have been pretty nerve-wracking, I suppose. The case she argued was also the very first of its kind. So this was a very important case to her, as it involved the burial grounds of Native Americans that she was related to, and others in like directly related to. Well, there she is with I think that's her one sisters? Or both sisters. Yeah,
both sisters. Yeah,
she was one of 4 sisters. Unfortunately, one of their sisters passed away early.
No, which one is she? Because I couldn't.
The middle one. I think she's the middle one. Yeah. Okay. So the grounds on which her family was buried. So at that point, her mother and her as well as her sister, other distant relatives as you go down, plus other unmarked graves of people in the Native American community in that Wyandotte tribe were also buried there. Up to, they think, maybe 1,000 of them were buried there. And what was happening in Kansas City, that lot of land was prime real estate where it was located. So the government wanted to sell the land and develop it and move the bodies, which you can imagine would be absolutely devastational to anyone. Oh, I got goosebumps. And the fact that her mother and sister were in the ground as well, I mean, you can just imagine how tied she was to this. So she got herself through law school. She argued this before the Supreme Court. Wow. The first of its kind. She argued that the burial grounds of Native Americans were entitled to federal protection, that they weren't, it wasn't just anyone could have the land. They were the descendants and they had rights over this land and shouldn't be sold. It was the Huron Cemetery in Kansas City. So her and her sisters obviously were very much against this. Bless them. They built basically a 6x8 shack on the cemetery property, and they guarded it themselves, these ladies, these sisters, with a musket. And they warned people, don't come on here. They put trespassing signs up, like all of this stuff. Like, that is, I'm just feeling the overwhelming passion and that they had for their ancestors. And you can imagine if your family was there and they're just going to sell the land and make restaurants and clothing shops or whatever, right? That's just not okay. So she, at one point, was arrested for chasing people off the land. They said, do you want to pay $10 fine or go to jail for 10 days? She goes, I will go to jail for 10 days. So she went to jail for 10 days. I believe she actually even at one point shot at a police officer. I don't know if she knew he was a police officer at the time, but for trespassing, right? Or treating the land disrespectfully. So she didn't win her case, unfortunately, in front of the Supreme Court. But what did happen is that it got notoriety, right? The case was talked about. And one of the congressmen, I believe for Kansas City or Kansas, was part Native American. And he got a bill passed in 1916. So she went to the Supreme Court in 1909. So in 1916, so in all those years, her and her sisters are protecting that land. All those years.
Wow.
He got a bill passed to make it a national park so that it would become protected. So that was in 1916. But even though the land was quote unquote protected, it wasn't taken care of. So her, again, going there, tending to the property, feeding squirrels or whatever she did to make it look nice and to care about the land. In 1918, Kansas signed a contract to maintain the site forever. So in 1918, maintain the site forever. In 2017, so that's just recent, 2017, designated a National Historic Landmark and can never be developed. It can never be. I know, it's just so emotional to think that this lovely little lady, just was like, no, this cannot happen. This cannot happen.
I have to show the picture of her and her sisters again, because that's just, we got to look at these amazing.
Can you imagine these little ladies in a 6x8 shack? None of them ever got married. They took care of the land. As we said, one of their sisters.
Look at them. Yeah.
I know, aren't they awesome?
Yeah.
So they cared so much and did not let it get destroyed. It's such a powerful story. So she got herself through law school, fought this, went to the Supreme Court, defended it herself because of the chat it got, because it was, this big case, first of its kind. A congressman was able to push a bill through. Lo and behold, the land eventually is protected forever and cared for forever. Sadly, her demise is quite sad. In May of 1946, she was walking home from the library, and some man jumped out of the bushes or whatever, whacked her on the head, and they said took her purse, which she only had 20 cents. She ended up dying from the head injuries within a day. So that's just such a, I have no words for that. That ending, but wow, what a legacy. And I just think she's so wonderful, just so wonderful.
I have no words for.
I know, it's an amazing story.
Strength of.
Yeah. So she passed away at approximately, I think it was 77 years old. And she graduated in 1902, which is, I mean, she was doing all this before women even had the right to vote or anything. Like she, to be in law school, and because she had purpose, right? She had to protect that land.
That's amazing. Yeah. What are the names, just the first names of her sisters?
I think her sister Sarah was the one that had passed away early.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
Wow.
And she's the granddaughter of a chief as well.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand kind of what she's showing me, the honor of guarding this land. And something to the, she's showing me ceremony, and her, I believe there's other people there too, but I mean, she's showing me her ceremony, but also it really is talking about, and I don't know if this is just a metaphor or if she's, but I feel like the message with this is it was the honor of protecting the land. The land is me. I am the land. We are, so something with that. It wasn't a matter of question. I am the land is me type of feel to that part of her journey.
So the sisters were Helena and Ida, and the other one I believe was Sarah, who passed away earlier.
Helena and Ida. Okay.
This is the little shack that they lived in at the cemetery.
Oh.
This tiny little. Wow.
How long were they there, Andrea? Did it say how long they were there?
You're putting me to work, aren't you?
Well, the only reason I'm asking is because she's showing me like day to day, like washing their clothes and like hanging stuff out, like they were there for like they
were there for several years.
Okay, because she's showing me like the day to day, basically, like hanging their clothes out and like just trying to like make a home, basically, and that they lived their life there. They were living day to day there, and all cooking and all of the things they had to do, but
because they wanted to watch the land around the clock. Sorry,
right.
24/7. They were patrolling it with a musket. One of them would be awake. They would walk the grounds. It's incredible. It's an incredible story. And I believe the land that they were originally entitled to through heredity was washed away in the Mississippi. So wherever their family was at that point, or the land. So that land had gone. So that's not what I think made them live on the property. I think they lived at that cemetery to protect everyone.
Right. Right. And she's showing me an owl for some reason. I don't know the significance. If somebody knows, if there's some kind of, I don't know, something with owls or Native American, I don't know, but she's showing me a very, I almost want to say that there was like an owl present there nightly or around them or something. It's almost like watching over them. I almost want to say like it was like an ancestor or something like that. I don't know. But she's showing me this owl, and it does feel like this is our ancestor watching over our shoulder, watching over us. And I don't know if like literally there was an owl there, or it's the owl is a messenger or an omen, a sign of something to guard them.
It also brings in clairvoyance, abundance, and treasure. So clairvoyance piece with that. Yeah.
I absolutely love these sisters. I absolutely love them. And the fact that they would live in that little shack to protect their relatives and ancestors and tribe is incredible. And the right thing to do.
I mean.
Oh, ancestors with great wisdom. Okay, thank you. I was very perplexed by that. I'm like, well, why is this up? I know, it's amazing. It is amazing. Her sisters are here. They're saying that she was always the, for lack of a better term, she was always the stubborn one. She was always set in her ways and pulling them into like not just things that were important to her. And this was like another thing, like she pulled them in. And it was, I'm getting chills with that. It's like, cause it's like, it was not that they were half-hearted or anything like that, but she was always kind of the leader, the one pushing them forward. We have to do this. And they're kind of like, why us? She's like, we have to, because we have to be the ones. We are the ones. She took things upon herself a lot. Because if I don't do it, who will? That kind of attitude, but also they're saying kind of a stubborn streak. So they knew once they crossed her, they were going to have a fight on their hands. So, and of course they always, they backed her up. They backed her up.
I do feel they had a great understanding of the honor. She speaks of it as an honor. So,
listening and balance. She could hear her ancestors. I think she could hear the land talking, right? The ancestors, and to keep the balance of that area, that space. It was not okay to move 10, 20, 1,000 of them to somewhere the government decided that was not going to be okay. So she was really in tune and listening. And instead of hiring a lawyer, she became a lawyer.
That's right. That's
really trying to be a bridge. She said she's trying to be a bridge of understanding as well. This seems to be the piece she keeps bringing in over here, is this connection to mind, body, spirit, land, plants, trees, dirt, earth, Mother Earth, the whole thing. And yes, all of that, but it's the layers of it that many do not understand. She says of why we call certain areas sacred, right? This land is sacred. There's purpose in that, and everything is connected. And so, we might not understand. And so she was trying to bridge that understanding through her actions, and then also, becoming attorney to go and fight for this and bring the truth, to bring that bridge of truth and understanding of what sacred meant in this land. It's not just the spirit is not there. So that's not the thing. It's the other things that are connected in with that, with the whole. It's like a little area of a portal almost is what she's showing me. So I don't have complete understanding, but so literally sacred land. I don't know if I made sense, but
that does make sense.
That's
That
good.
does make sense.
Like, I'm just trying to communicate what I'm hearing. And if I don't have a grasp fully on what she's saying, it sometimes I feel like.
No, I think you're spot on, Debbie. And she's talking about we would call it gaslighting, but the kind of the lying around this, like it's a scheme. It's a scheme for them to do this. The ugliness around how they argued with them and the things they would say about them, and they're like it wasn't even. It's almost like they couldn't even understand why they would say something like the things that they said, they're doing this as a scheme, to not allow us to build here. This is a scheme of some kind. It's a fake. And she's like, it was so mind-boggling that they would say something like this, not realizing how just offensive it was to go there. But they did that. They completely, tried to gaslight, the public and them, and it was really ugly. She said, she's just acknowledging that they actually did that, and it was so they couldn't get their head around it. It was so sad.
And it comes down to that dollar, doesn't it, Kim? That
right
almighty dollar. And then she said, and then she went like this. She did a line over to being killed for 20 cents. Right? This whole connection with the almighty dollar.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the government was also trying to say that because some of them had become, some of the people in the Wyandotte tribe community had become American citizens, that they didn't have any rights to the land anymore, which is outrageous. Your lineage doesn't stop just because you become an American citizen.
Mm-hmm.
She said, if anybody knew her, that she would have handed you that 20 cents if you asked her. She would have handed you the rest of the money. If she had $20 in her purse and you asked, she would have been the one that would have given you that. Just, it's interesting.
Yeah, and you're right.
There's American citizens, and then told you don't have ownership of your land. No.
Yeah, it's outrageous. Outrageous. It's interesting because I feel like she and her family, or her sisters, laughed a lot. They kept each other up very, very. There were plenty of things to be angry and depressed about, but they kept each other from getting down. To me, they just seem they do seem like very happy people. And yet for us to look at this story, it's like, oh, what an incredible story, but what a hard existence, what a hard thing they did, but she's like, we really, we saw this as our, you're right. Andrea, about life purpose. It gave them purpose, and that was so important. But they also kept each other up. Humor. Oh, okay. So Connie B says humor is a big part of our culture. I did feel like they laughed a lot. They kept each other happy, basically. You'd have to, under those circumstances. What a hard and brave thing to do, right? You'd have to have that kind of levity somewhere, because what a difficult task. They were just a difficult task they were given. She was given.
I wonder if she was channeling a bit of her grandfather, who was a chief, and keeping it, keeping it in the right place, keeping it for them,
She's saying, Andrea, that her grandfather came to her and said, that's where the honor comes in. This is an honor for you to, you know what I mean? That's who placed that language in for her, was her grandfather.
Yeah, I got chills with that, Andrea. That's correct. That's absolutely right.
Someone's asking if all the sisters are buried on the land with their mother and their other sister.
They are? Are they asking if they are? Or they said
they are buried.
They are. Okay. They are buried together.
Oh, Connie, interesting.
In
order to earn a feather, you have to do something that is courageous.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay. I see. Someday you will have enough feathers for a war bonnet.
Nice. So as a woman in those times, again, born in 1869, and then to be a Native American woman in those times was certainly not easy. So again, I'm just tapping into her and how strong she was, really clear-headed. Very clear-headed. She knew right and wrong, and she knew, you know what I mean? Like, just very logical, very caring, obviously, very smart and fearless. And I really like her energy. It's really lovely. I don't know if lovely is the right word, but it's really,
and happy, a very happy energy. Yeah. That's another thing that's so interesting, because she said she seems like such a happy, smiley energy, and very proud of very proud of this life. Very, very proud of this life.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. She's also saying that she was the one that got the clear visions, right? So that intuitive part, or whatever, that psychic part, or that that spirit connect part that she had. She was the one that got very clear visions, and I think, Andrea, you were talking about, this is why her sisters, even though she had that stubborn to her. Well, they listened because she was the one that got those clear visions. So
she was really tapped in.
Yes, they knew.
Yeah.
And then they knew also, once she got a vision, that there was not it was something like, she's showing me when she was little, like, I was shown that I need to bring like this piece of fruit to this person, and she'd have to do it. Like you could not do it. She was shown the vision, and she was sure that she was being guided by her guide, the spirit guide, to bring this apple to this person. And her sisters knew that, okay, we're going to take this apple to, you know what I mean? It was like that. So by the time that it got to, we are all moving into this shack, and we are going to be taking turns standing guard and protecting this sacred ground with a musket. Because Grandpa came to me and showed me, and they're like, they didn't have, they knew. By then they were already trained to know, when she got set into one of these vision things and got the message, she didn't back down, and
That
so
was it.
Right.
they were in.
And it shows you that one person can make a difference. Now, I know she was with her sisters, but she did go,
Yep.
she walked into the Supreme Court. Imagine her walking up those steps, going in there by herself to fight for her family, literally.
I mean, going to school, getting her degree, to go, you know what I mean, in those time periods, against all odds. Not only being a woman, but being a Native American woman.
And she didn't give up, and her actions had a wonderful final resolution that the ground is now can never be touched and will be taken care of forever.
She did it.
She did it.
She did it.
And she's linking in her sisters, right?
Oh, yes, they did it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Lyda.
Wow.
What a great story.
Yes. That'd be a good movie, too. I'd love to see them in their 1900s garb, walking around with muskets, chasing people up.
You know, it's interesting. I just was saying goodbye to her, and she's showing me being on in spirit, but on earth. She's marking the land in places, specific places, guys, marking the land. And I'm wondering how this is going to play out, but she's marking the land, not only for healing, but also as sacred, I think. That also will be maybe coming, this energy is not quite here yet, but that will be
more stories or something coming forth,
or that new mandates will be coming out to make this sacred, like untouched, back to who it belongs to, that type of thing. So she's working on that. So I don't know all those. I don't know enough about all the different areas that maybe were taken and now needing to be given back and made back into. So that's happening. She's still working on that to bring it to give the land back.
Yeah, Connie's asked if she's reincarnated. I'm not feeling that she's
not yet.
Not back
I think
yet.
so, not yet. Yeah,
she's still working over there.
She's still on this land. She protected that one site while here, and now she has where she can go and bring it back to who it belongs to. So that's what she's working on. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you. Eliza. All right. I guess I'm in charge today.
that was a really good pick, Andrea.
Okay. And so next we have Kim, and who you're bringing in.
Oh God, prepare to be outraged, everyone. I was so outraged when I read this. So interestingly, so my sister's been really sick. She's had this horrible respiratory virus, and she's a severe asthmatic. So she's been very, very sick, and she loves Ladies' Night. It's her favorite thing in the world. So I said, why don't you pick who you want me to pick? So I just kind of handed over my authority to her. And she did, and she picked a great pick. She's a huge baseball fan, so she picked this this woman, Jackie Mitchell, and she was a pitcher, and she was born in 1913, August 29th, my other sister's birthday, actually, at August 29th, but she was born in 1913. When she was 17 years old, she pitched for the Chattanooga Lookouts, which was a minor league baseball team. And their coach was really good at getting publicity going. So he, 'cause decided to have an exhibition game for publicity against the New York Yankees. And she pitched, and she ended up striking out Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig in a row. Babe Ruth was up first. Babe Ruth was up first.
Wow.
She struck him out.
Wow.
His third strike, he yelled at the ump. He was absolutely outraged that this happened, but it happened. Lou Gehrig was up next, and in 3 swings, she struck him out too.
Wow.
And there
17 years old. So a little bit of background before that happened. When she learned to walk, her father took her to their closest baseball diamond in their neighborhood and taught her the basics of the game. Her neighbor was Dazzy Vance, who was a professional baseball player, taught her how to pitch, and he showed her what was called his drop ball. And I guess it's a spin that you can put on a pitch, basically, and taught her how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a spinning pitch that kind of feels like it's going towards you, but it's kind of going away from you. And it's very hard to hit. So she was taught that. And at the age of 17, she started playing for the Eaglettes, and she caught the attention of Joe Engel and was put on the Chattanooga Lookouts, which is a minor league female baseball team. So for publicity, they set up this exhibition game, and she ended up striking out Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig swung 3 consecutive times and was struck out instantly. A few days after Mitchell struck out Ruth and Gehrig, baseball commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis voided her contract and declared that women...
Here's where we're angry.
Exactly. Voided her contract and declared that women were unfit to play baseball as the game was too strenuous.
Can I use foul language on this?
Yeah. My husband did.
Oh my
Oh.
He
God.
was so upset. She continued to play professionally with a team called the House of David. But she retired at 23 after becoming furious that her story about playing baseball was used as something of a sideshow, once being asked to pitch while riding on a donkey. She never came out of retirement. However, she did throw out the first pitch in 1982 when she was invited by the Chattanooga Lookouts to pitch for their opening day. She passed away at the age of 73 in 1987 and is buried in Chattanooga, Tennessee. She's a Southern girl through and through, but I mean, the outrage. I was just like, what in the world? So yeah, that's her story.
And did they try to deny that she even struck them out? Like, oh,
well,
pretending.
The first article that came up when I was looking at her story was, did she really strike out Babe Ruth? And trying to rewrite history, but no, she did. She struck them both out. And in fact, again, Babe Ruth was furious about it and yelled at the umpire because how could this possibly happen? But she did it. And that's what happened. And she got punished, of course, because of it. She got dropped from, her contract got dropped, and women got punished for it. Right. But this happened, and good for her. And we're honoring her today, and she gets to say what she wants to say. So there.
Wow.
Well, I tell you what.
Yeah.
She's like, I pierced the dragon, and it needed. That was just the beginning of bringing it to the surface, right? That was right in everybody's face for that person to call her out and say, and then take her out You know what I mean? Do that action against her and then say that about women. So the dragon was pierced. They roared back, but it wasn't, it came back to bite them in the butt, right? Because then it got everybody roaring over here going, okay, this is wrong, right? Seeing how, even people who were like, I'm in my role, they're in, women's role, I'm in my women's role, they're in their man's role, and yeah, this is how it goes. They would even see how outrageous this was. Men even saw how outrageous it was at the time. So, I mean, I think it was just the beginning of just piercing that dragon, and it just like that. So,
It's also,
understands that, she got to live enough life to understand that one of her things here in life was to pierce that dragon, be a part of that.
But it's shining a light on the fact that why can't a woman strike out a man in baseball? Like why was that so humiliating?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
It shouldn't be. It's just like, why didn't they celebrate how awesome she was and try to get them on their team?
Right. Exactly.
Punishing and taking it from all women.
Uh-huh. She's using like Southern kind of like phrases. She's saying like, I'd never heard this expression, but she's saying like, it tarred my feather, or it tarred my feather. Is that a thing? It tarred my feather. That's what she's saying. That she did this. And she said, she said, even I was kind of surprised, but I was so proud, and my teammates were proud. Everybody was so proud. And then a few days later, it tarred my feather. They tried to erase it. They tried to just erase it. And she's like, it could not be erased. It was what it was. It happened. And so it's almost as if like this.
T-Barb says, yes, that's a Southern phrase.
That is okay. I've never heard that before.
I've never heard it either.
Tarred my feather. So that but it was so, it really was
from the 20s.
Outrageous.
Craig says it was from the 20s, that saying.
Really? Okay. So
I love that.
That is amazing. So anyway, I'm going to hear her using phrases like that. But anyway, she was, it was such a proud, happy, amazing moment. And they just tried to erase it. But she said they could not erase it. It happened. And she's saying that's why it's important to have these moments, just moments that kind of show you what can be. And she's saying like, it doesn't matter. I mean, men, women, we were just talking about, Native Americans, it doesn't matter where those moments come from. Once you have a moment like that, you're shown what can be. And when it's there and it's happened, it cannot be erased. It's there forever. She's so proud. She's so proud of this. Yeah. She loved baseball. I am getting such chills from her. She loved baseball, absolutely loved the game. It broke her heart when they kind of dismissed her ability as though it was a joke. Right? She says, I was a damn good player.
And who picks on a 17-year-old? What man or group of men pick on a 17-year-old and try to take it from her?
I know it could have been such a heartwarming, wonderful thing, right? It
should have been a wonderful story, and they invite her as an honorary member of the New York Yankees or whatever team they were on, right?
Yeah.
Instead of destroying her, it could have been this whole other thing. right? It could have had this whole other life of its own.
Right.
But, men need to be raised that it's okay if a woman strikes you out in baseball. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything about you. It just means she's really good.
Right. Well, it shows you, though, how threatened they were.
I would imagine
their egos couldn't take it.
And I would imagine the first throw, they probably weren't ready for it. They probably just thought, oh, she's not going to be able to do anything, right? Right. They probably caught off guard, and then they were like, oh, she knows what she's doing. They couldn't get in front of her. They couldn't do it.
Imagine the surprise.
We're still fighting against this dragon, Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And she keeps, it just, I don't know if because she's like, like I didn't strike out Babe Ruth, and not at that scale, but when I went to high school, they had separate PEs, women, girls, boys, whatever. And I wanted to play football. I grew up playing football. I played football on the streets, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to play football, but there is no football for girls. And so I wanted to be able to do it at least in the PE. And so I petitioned, we, did the whole thing, and we got the girls got to play combined football for PE. Well, my first day out, of course, you can imagine, and I'm good. I was good, you guys. I was really good. I had an arm, if you can imagine. So I played the quarterback or whatever. But anyways, on that first day out, some of the boys had to make an example of why we shouldn't be putting girls and boys together in PE. And I got tackled really hard. It's not even tackle, right? It wasn't even tackle football. And it was like, kind of like you need to go back to, this is blah, 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 against me, right? Because I was the one who did it.
Right.
And of course, some other big dude came over and took that other dude and threw him across the field. Anyway, it became a big thing, but it's similar. The dragon was still there. Like they didn't want this to happen. And also I was so much better than he was. And he didn't like that. You're taking my place now. You felt like you're taking my place. Isn't that the same narrative? And she's saying, isn't that the same narrative? We've been fighting the same narrative since she was here, since 1979, since today. We're still fighting that narrative. We don't want you to take our place. We don't want this. We don't, whatever. There's just so much behind that. There's so many layers to it, guys.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's part of it. This is just a threat to someone. If you're embrace, love one another. But anyway,
right. Well, and it's a pastime, It's like it could be so fun and so, involving everybody, and it's all together, and it could be such a fun, wonderful thing. And it's like, no, you can't be in it. Just us.
Like to exclude women, all women, from playing.
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so outrageous. And I think her story is really amazing, that a 17-year-old girl beat the best without question, got the best, right? And was taken down for it, as well as all other women in the sport. When it could have just gone the other way.
Exactly.
And it could have been this beautiful thing. It could have been, oh, she's going to be at the arena tonight. Bring your daughters. They get to meet her. So get, more girls encouraged to come out and enjoy baseball.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It could have spun into this whole, and they could have made money off of it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Totally. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like
the fear she would have had. I would have been afraid at 17 to stand in front of Babe Ruth and throw a baseball.
I can't even imagine. Again, the just the courage alone to do that. but then to strike them out 2 in a row, it's like, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's at 17. I mean, it's
She knew she was
unbelievable.
good. She knew she was good.
Yeah.
I don't think she was that afraid to get in front of them. I think a little bit of
Yeah.
stage fright, but I think she knew how good she was and was
Right.
quite comfortable in that.
And she's saying they did cap her potential. You know, they cut it off where they could have really.
Absolutely.
She was quite angry, and she's saying I was going to say bitter, but she's like not quite bitter. I was mad because they cut off my potential. Who knows what I could have done, you know? Because then it was kind of like I was used more as like they said, kind of a sideshow, you know, kind of like a, you know, so it wasn't taken seriously at all. And so they capped her potential. They took away what may have happened, how good she could have gotten. Who knows?
Right. And you know, you don't want a woman to take your paycheck, do you?
Right. Exactly.
I am truth and don't compromise. Exactly.
Amen.
Yeah.
She knew her truth and she wasn't going to compromise and do these sideshow things. She just decided to retire at 23. Bless her. She probably could have had a 20-year career in the game and been quite famous. Right?
Right.
Baseball cards and what have you. You know, going overseas or what, you know, who knows? But like, again, it not only was it shut down for her, we are going to say that women can't play baseball.
Right.
All women. You get a no on that.
All of a sudden they were like, oh, you know what I mean? Wow. Yeah. Well, she opened the door for me to be able to do what I did in my little area, my little corner of the world. And from that time on, the whole school changed. And then all of a sudden it was everybody was, you know, it was all mixed. So you could play whatever you wanted to play together. So
she was playing in the, what, I'm guessing 1920s?
She was born in 1913. So 23, I think. 20. Yeah.
So, and just recently in the last few years, there's been the first female ref at a football game. And that's just a ref, right?
Right.
And the Toronto Blue Jays had, I think, one of the first female medical women on the team, right? So she would be in the dugout with them. I don't think she's still with the team. That's not a lot of distance in those years, is it? To have women more incorporated in men's sport with respect. It's starting a little bit more, but
that's what I'm saying.
I know. And look at how talented female athletes are. Our soccer team in the Olympics, amazing. You know, our women's basketball teams are.
Our Canadian female hockey team is amazing.
Amazing. She's saying so. She's saying progress is slow, but it rolls on. It does roll on, and to not be don't be disheartened, because she's like these. You know, she's very. Again, how we said, like the first woman we taught, Lyda, that we talked earlier, was very proud of what she did. This is the same thing. She is so proud of her accomplishment. She will never. She's giving me chills. It's like, I will never forget that moment. It was, and they can't erase it as much as they wanted to and tried to. They can't erase it.
Can't take it. There's witnesses. She witnessed it. That's it.
It's there forever.
It's forever.
Did she have a sister too?
Let me see. I don't know. It kind of made it seem like she was an only child, but
I don't know who she's showing me here, but she's showing me a female that was in super support of her. I just assumed it was a female.
Let me see.
Maybe it was someone on her team. I don't know, but she's showing me that it wasn't easy, and everything that came down, but she had that that behind the scenes support, and she's highlighting this female, and I don't know who she is.
Hmm.
But it could have been someone just on the team that just really continued to, support and talk. It wasn't, she wasn't alone, right? It did affect everyone. She's saying, you're right. Okay. So maybe that's what she's like, it affected everyone. However, there's someone who
keeps going like this. So there must have been two of them, or two kids.
A couple women then, because they really were like wind beneath their wings, because when something like that hits you like that, you have this big high and then you have this smack down. She was like, I'm out. And they're like, no, you're not. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's something like that. But she's saying, yes, I'm the one highlighted, but she's also giving recognition to these other two women. One in particular, but these other two.
Yeah, there would have been other wonderful players as well.
Yeah.
Who I'm sure were devastated with the way she was treated, right? Because it blocked all of them.
I feel like this one that she's highlighting would have been friends for a long time, even into their old age. Old age. She wasn't that old, but I'm just saying when she was older. I don't know. I'd have to read more on.
I just got the grin on my face being a 17-year-old girl striking at the top too.
Right? Amazing. It's an amazing story.
I mean, that grin would never go away. Even what they did, sure, they made her a little sad for a while, but you can't take it from her.
No. No, it's a great story. So anyway, thank you to Jackie Mitchell for coming through.
Yes. I feel a little kindred to her.
I know. Yeah.
Thank you for opening that door for us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you for picking that pick, because I thought that was a great pick. And
thank you to your sister, and we just send love and healing to her right now as a family. While we're all here, let's just send her that healing. Your sister, hugging her.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so this was recommended to me by Connie, and I'm sorry. I had been waiting for that tap, and it was coming down to the wire, and I hadn't yesterday. Was it yesterday, Connie? I can't remember, but she's like, "How about blah blah blah?" I'm like, "Yes." Like I didn't even know who I just saw the name, and I said, "Yep." And then I read on her, and then it was even more of a yes. So let's take a look here. We are bringing in Wilma Mankiller. Her whole name is Wilma Pearl Mankiller, and let's go ahead and go back here. And she was born on November 18th, 1945, and passed April 6th, 2010. So let me go ahead and since I'm the one doing all this share, I'm going to get this share going, and then I'll start telling her story. Andrea is so much better at this than I am, but we can do it. We can do it. And that's not her, but this is her. And this is her in her later. So I'm going to go back to her younger years while we get to know her a little more. Okay, here she is in her younger years, and we'll go back to here. Elizabeth Brando is her proud citizen of the Cherokee Nation, but she goes by Wilma Pearl Mankiller, I guess. Wilma Mankiller is honored and recognized as the first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Wow. The first honored and recognized, I think, is the main key right there, right? Mm-hmm. She is also the first woman elected as chief of a major Native tribe. Okay. She spent her remarkable life fighting for the rights of American Indians. Born on November 18th, 1945, in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, the capital of the Cherokee Nation. Wilma was the sixth of 11 children born to Charlie Mankiller and Clara Irene. All right, so it says something here in Cherokee that I can't read. But in the Cherokee language, it refers to traditional Cherokee military rank like a captain or a major. So that's, I guess, where they sat and whatever. Though Mankiller recalled that she never felt poor growing up in the family's rural ancestral home, that it had no electricity or indoor plumbing or telephones. When she was 11, the family moved to San Francisco, California, as a part of a Bureau of Indian Affairs relocation policy, which was aimed to move Indians off of federally subsidized lands with the promise of jobs in America's big cities. Her father became a warehouse worker and a union organizer. In 1993 interview with the New York Times, Mankiller described the move as my own little trail of tears, a reference that you all are familiar with, of the forced removal of Cherokees from the Southeast by the federal troops. Her father's ancestors had been forced to relocate to Indian Territory from Tennessee over the Trail of Tears in the 1830s. She first developed her own social activism when a dramatic event changed her life. In 1969, a group of American Indians took over, and I'm reading this, took over the federal penitentiary on Alcatraz Island. This is so interesting, you guys. In San Francisco Bay, and laid claim to it by right of discovery to expose the suffering of the Native Americans. Mankiller recalled, when Alcatraz occurred, I became aware of what needed to be done to let the rest of the world know that, and this is a quote, that Indians had rights too. Forever changed by Alcatraz, it inspired and inspired by the women's movement at the time, Mankiller worked to empower and the surrounding Native communities in California, serving as director to the Oakland's Native American Youth Center. She believed that restoring pride in the Native heritage could reduce the downward spiral of the Native youth growing up in the streets. She supported the California's Pit River tribe in its legal battle against the Pacific Gas and Electric over the rights to millions of acres of the tribal land, learning the practical applications for exercising sovereignty and treaty rights. She would bring back this knowledge to her own Cherokee community. Okay. Married from 1963 to 1977, Mankiller had her two daughters and moved back to Oklahoma after her divorce. Her activism continued, and she has several things that she did on behalf of the community and the Native community. I mean, it's ongoing. I mean, it's powerful and amazing. Whether it was bringing water to the land, electricity, all these things that you would think that would be automatic. Apparently you had to fight for. So later she was elected and served as the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation in 1985, and she did that for 10 years, guiding a sovereign nation whose population more than doubled from $68,000 to $170,000 during her tenure. Okay, so she improved a lot of the education and the healthcare and all the housing, leadership, and there's massive infant mortality. The infant mortality declined through the education she was offering. So just all this, she literally shifted this downward spiral in all of this, taking back ground, it looks like. So it just goes on and on and on what she did. One time, she got the highest civil honor from President Bill Clinton. So that was cool. When asked one time to send a pair of shoes to an American Indian art exhibit, she reportedly sent a pair of ordinary walking shoes, claiming they were the normal shoes she wore every day. Love that. She says, remember that I am just a woman who is living a very abundant life, Mankiller said. Every step I take forward is on a path paved by strong Indian women before me. And she's so always honoring her elders, right? Always honoring those who paved and honored to continue to pave that for those who would come after her, right? And she says, one of the things my parents taught me, and I'll always be grateful, is to not ever let anybody else define me, but for me to define myself. So I feel that's a huge message.
Amen to that.
But yeah. So that is.
She did a lot.
She did.
What an amazing lady.
She when she passed, she died of pancreatic cancer, and people who came around her during that time would be people like Steinem and other powerful women of the time of the women's movement all came around her. Steinem, who was by her side when Mankiller walked on, said of her friend, ancient traditions call for setting signal fires to light the way home for a great one. And fires were lit in 23 countries after Wilma's death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Steinem says, the millions she touched will continue her work, but I will miss her every day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, powerful, powerful woman.
Extremely.
And I'm so glad that Connie brought her to our attention so we could get to meet her, learn about her strength.
So I was sitting here as you were talking about all this, I was like, oh, I feel like I do nothing. And she was like, no, as I do. I'm like, oh, I feel like these kind of stories, these kind of things. I was just thinking, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But she said, no. She said, not everybody, walks or chooses the same path. That whatever is important to you, move in that, is what she said. Move in that. So I think that she doesn't want us to feel like, feel like I'm not doing it. Like I was just feeling I don't do anything, but to feel like she did that and she was all about those things. What's my thing that I'm all about? And what do I really, what's what is a place that I can make a little mark or make some kind of little difference. It doesn't have to be, this is her saying, it doesn't have to be something huge, dynamic, moving mountains. It starts with little things and it builds. And she's saying you don't know the ripple effect you can have with one little tiny act. So whatever she's saying, again, whatever your thing is, move in that. So I think what she means is like make movement in whatever your thing is. Make even just a little bit of movement, and that's your bit. Everybody do their bit. That's really it. Do their part, and that's what you do, you know. And sometimes, and she's talking about too that a lot of the things she got involved in because they were kind of they were ripe for the time. Is what she's saying. Like they were like in that time they were dealing with those things a lot, and so they had momentum. And sometimes that happens. Like your cause will meet the moment, and it will have momentum, and it will go. Yes. But a lot of times it is like these little things we do that make, you know, little movements here and there in things that maybe haven't hit their time yet or aren't. You know, she's talking about the this movement though. She's saying this is its own. Yeah, I'm getting chills with that. This is its own thing. You guys are involved in this thing, and it's starting to have momentum because it's meeting its time. And she's saying that's what it did that's what her thing was for her. It met its time, and we're doing. It's just it's a different arena. It's a different area, but it's very similar in that it's meeting its moment where more and more people are jumping in, you know, and getting involved and starting their own channels and starting their own stuff. It has momentum. So she's saying that same thing.
Mim says, Kim, not everyone can see your cape, but many of us can. You have made a massive difference in our community. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got the flame of inspiration. So, you know, what is your inspiration, and ignite it. Like, don't let it go out, right? And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the first woman to be in front of the Supreme Court or whatever it is. What is your inspiration? And light that flame. Stay passionate about it. That gives you purpose.
Right.
She's telling me that she could do what she did what she did because she could do what she did because she catapulted others to do what they could do, right? Mm-hmm. Her whole, it seems to me she did I don't know, I don't remember reading this or whatever, but it was like she really, you're as good as the people around you, right? So you're going like this to create and catapult those around you. So you're as good as that, right? So she wouldn't be who she became without empowering those around her to be who they could be, right? So empowering those around you. I mean, she's showing me like she was a catapult. So her whole message was, you do you, and you can do it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, just like you just said, both of you. And, but she's showing me like all around her, she could literally, that was part of her platform, is empowering everyone around her to empower those around them, to empower those around them, to empower, you know what I mean?
That's a very generous way to live, right? Rather than keeping it all to yourself and taking all the glory to your, keeping it all to yourself. She probably could have done that, right? She was so smart and so talented, but she, like you said, she let it bloom outwards and therefore made a much bigger impact than she would have had she just, done her own little thing and kept it to herself and got whatever, pats on the back she could. It wasn't about that. It was about, like you said, empowering other people to do what they could. And then it was a whole movement. It was a whole thing that she was not maybe the center of, but she was part of, and she was part of making it grow.
She's like,
it's such a generous way to live.
This is not a dictatorship. There's no expansion in dictatorship. You have to let that go. That narrative has to be cut away at.
Right.
You are sacred, reminding all of us females and males. But I think she's trying to put her arms around us and give us all a big hug. Remember, we are sacred. Remember, you matter. Remember, you can do it. You know, value your body, you know, value your mind, value your ideas. Don't let others squish it or put it out, right? You're sacred. You are important. Getting empowered right now.
That's great. Yeah. And no, it is too small. What is your thing? What is your thing that you're really passionate about or that you love? And that, you know, yeah, and go with it and do what you can, you know, whether it's a cause or something that you love to bring beauty into the world. If you're an artist or whatever it is worth doing. You're here, you know, you came to do stuff. So, you know, whatever that is, to start to do it. And like Wilma said, there's nothing, you know, you need to find what your thing is. You know, this was her thing, and this, you know, had this own kind of little, or not little, a big movement. But we all can find that. We all can find that thing that we can make a difference. And it's no thing is too small. You know, it really isn't.
Yes, you know your own truth. You don't have to live someone else's.
Mm-mm.
You know, live your own truth. What is it? You maybe want to be a baker. Maybe you want to be a housewife. Maybe you want to be an astronaut. Maybe you want to work for charities. Whatever ignites you, do it. And don't judge yourself against somebody else, right?
No, that's it. That's exactly what I was doing. And she's like, no, don't do that. That's not it at all. This is, it's a, you know, you do your thing because I did my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know where it's going to, you know, you don't know where it's going to go. You may start something really tiny little and it grows into something you didn't expect. So why not? Why not?
She really holds herself like this. She comes in, she keeps holding her head high, and she's like, hold your head high. Stand tall. The world has taken and continually try to beat you down, right? As women, as women of color, if you're a woman of color, you know, all the anyone who is challenged by the society and the narrative that has been here, hold yourself high. There's so much anger and hate and misunderstanding. Hold yourself high through that. And she keeps bringing me back to her quote that she quoted about what her parents always said to her, and that's don't let anybody else define you. You define you, and stand tall in that. And you will come up against anger. You will come against pain and hurt. Stand tall in you. She says, stand tall. She keeps having me sit up. She's like, sit up. Okay. Don't shrink away. Don't shrink away because of someone else's anger or hate. You do you. That's my words. You do you. She smiled.
She's showing me the Obamas, but did she know them or was she involved with them or something? But she's showing me.
She would have known them, right? Wait, would she have known them? 2010?
Yeah, she's showing me them.
In certain circles, maybe.
I feel like she had a real love for Michelle Obama for some reason. So I don't know what their relationship was or what, but she's showing me her. And it's almost like a shout out, shout out to Michelle Obama. But it is like that. It feels like there's something about her that she's bringing up. Maybe, Debbie, it has to do with that, the idea of holding yourself high, because that's when she started to show her to me. So maybe that's what it is.
She is a good example of that for sure.
That's what I was just thinking. And
Yeah.
She was such a good example of that, especially in the amount of disgusting hate that they experienced when Obama was in the White House, the horrible things they said about her. And she had an amazing way of kind of rising above that and standing tall and not being deterred from what her job was or what she wanted to do and accomplish. So maybe that's what that is, because she keeps showing her and the Obamas, but she's highlighting her. So maybe that's what she's saying, is to kind of follow that example, that, or she is an example of that, that kind of what she's talking about, what you were just saying, Debbie, about holding yourself up and raise, kind of living above the fray in a way.
Yes. Because it's gonna be there. It's gonna come against you, because anytime you try to bring truth or walk, in your truth or whatever, you're gonna come against these.
Right. And, T-Barb, thank you, Connie. When they go low, we go high. So maybe that's what she was trying to get us to remember. Right.
That's what Michelle says, right?
Thank you. Yeah. Easier said than done, right? When they go low, we go high. It's so easy to go low when they go low. So yeah, absolutely, it is the better way to live, for absolutely sure.
Oh, wow, that makes sense, because Suzanne is saying her book Becoming is part of all of that, so that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yay! And Michelle's message has been, "Don't let anyone define you," and that's exactly.
Oh, okay.
There's that connection.
Wow. So maybe it is just like that. Yeah. That's and such a such a great way to think and a great way to live, and take the road of higher intention. Yes, all of those things, and it's I think we all have good intentions, and then we have those moments where it's just like, things get mad, or we get upset, or we can't stand it anymore. And I think that's very human. So don't, that it happens, but yeah, absolutely. If you can live in that grace, that is a wonderful way to live.
Yeah. She's saying, use that as a tool, as
fuel. Power. Okay. As a tool. Okay. I will.
Forward. Like, instead of using the anger as it overpowers you and brings you to different places, grab that energy, she says, and use it as a tool in your tool belt going forward. That's positive.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Emotion is good, she says. Emotion, use it.
Use it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I will.
Thank you, Wilma, for coming in.
Thank you.
Awesome. She's just a wonderful energy.
Yeah. And what a great name.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tells you all about her.
Get your attention name.
Exactly.
With a name like that.
Forget it.
With a name like that, you have a calling.
Yeah. Exactly.
What a beautiful, beautiful woman. Thank you again, Connie, for recommending her. And thank you, Wilma, for coming in. And as she continues to also bring power to the movement of expansion and truth, bridging. She's also bringing bridges in too. So beautiful. Thank you, Wilma.
Great.
Well, wow.
Yes. Powerful show.
Wow.
It is. And like you said, Andrea, I think we'd show up. It was just the three of us. I think we'd show up and do this because
Yeah.
I love these stories and hearing about, I mean, so many of these women I have never heard of before.
I
I
know.
did not know who they were. I didn't know anything about them. And knowing their stories it's changed me. You know, it's changed the way I look at things. And so many of their stories are so inspiring. So yeah, it's such a fun way to spend a Monday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just powerful. I'm still kind of in like a
Yeah, there's
No.
an energy field where it's like, okay, I'm still there. Like I know what you're saying, right? Like it's
yeah. And I'm in charge of the thing here, so
I'm out of the fog.
so
thank you
next
for
week
all
will
the
be on
beautiful
Kim's channel.
Kim's channel next
Yes.
Monday.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so we'll
Fun.
see you all there, family. Wonderful energy in the group tonight. Thank you for sharing that with us, everyone. And yeah, keep on linking up. We love you all, and we'll see you all next time.
See you next time. Thanks, guys. Thank you.